Brian and Karen want to wish you all a happy 50th and 52nd birthday.
Well, you guys are growing old.
December 9th, they both have the same birthday.
Oh no, I lied. You are growing younger by the day.
My good friends, Brian and Karen Daniel.
Hi, cousin.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Hi, from Texas.
Well, hello. Sucker. Gonna talk about Brian Daniel today.
I met Brian in high school, so that was like, let me see, that was like 14, 15 years ago.
I met Brian almost 10 years ago.
I've known him for probably 10 or 12 years at least.
Brian's hard to believe. We've been friends for over 40 years.
Brian, I know you from your amazing brother.
I know Brian through Raven.
We met at work.
I work at Avanis, and I met Brian when he became my boss a few years ago.
But if you think back, our friendship really strengthened when we were at Oklahoma State together and moved in with Robert in Norman when we went and pledged the Beta House.
So when I first met Brian, I think he was really deep on this Sons of Anarchy kick for the show.
The first day I worked here at Avantis, I came in and met my boss, and he said, "Hey, do you want to do lunch?" And me being a lunch guy was like, "Yeah, of course I want to do lunch."
Brian and I just hit it off. and ever since then, it's kind of funny because I have way more correspondence with Brian now than I do Raven.
What song reminds me of Brian Daniel? I'm glad you asked that question. Well, it's Electric Feel.
What song would play when Brian and Karen entered a room? Let me think for a second. Let me think.
I know it's kind of obvious, but I remember the little GTO song by Ronnie and the Daytonas. I remember him showing me the little placard he has with the lyrics.
I think the song would be Eddie Vedder's Rise.
Song would be.
Touch me now with your electric feel.
I don't know.
Now, as for a movie,
He probably wants me to say something like The Godfather.
Movie-wise and demeanor-wise, Brian kind of reminds me of Forrest Gump.
It would be Hollywood Nights.
Well, this isn't a movie, but it's a TV show, Modern Family. I don't know if you've seen that, but Phil Dunphy. And I just love him as a father. He'd be like the awesome father, and I think that's what Brian is like.
Actually, it's Brian and 4 chicks in the house. So 1 guy and 4 women. So I guess the film title would probably have to be, I don't know, Against All Odds, probably.
He's kind of got the demeanor of a Forrest Gump. It kind of jumps from thing to thing.
Some days it's a little bit Godfather, some days it's a little bit Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, though.
it'd have to be War Dogs. Because you know me and you will be running some guns up in, who knows, Saudi Arabia or something. And then some funny stories.
Funniest things, embarrassing, funny.
The most embarrassing thing that Brian has ever done, I would really need a cup of coffee and some more time to think of the most embarrassing thing.
Brian told me a story, this is what he did, and I think that's just hilarious. So he had gone out on this trip on a weekend or so, wherein they got to a farm and they were just doing some farm stuff, but at the same time they milk cows or something, and then that milk was mixed with Everclear, and no one had any idea what that was. 2 hours later, I did hear that everyone had a freaking amazing time.
But Brian is always funny. One thing I noticed about him is that he's always joking around.
Brian is so much fun to be around.
One time he asked me if I had a rooster and if I was willing to catch the said hell beast and put it in a box so we could take it somewhere to scare some guys. I didn't do it.
One of the funniest things we've done is, and actually we as a team, when we were working together, had decided that we are going to do this to Brian. So there's this peculiar thing that you all need to know about Brian. He does not like to sit in a closed space. Especially if you're at work, he does not like to sit at one desk. So he will be moving from one desk to the other. For a lot of people, it was very difficult to track Brian down when they needed Brian. So we as a team had almost gotten that close to tagging him with a radio ID so that we can trace him on a map and find out where the hell is he sitting today.
Probably the funniest thing that I can remember Brian and I doing was when we went snow skiing behind their Lexus. We were over at the Ridges Country Club, and we were pulling each other behind the Lexus in the snow, kind of just skiing on our boots, pulling each other behind there. And Brian pulled me, and then he got out, and I started pulling him. And I don't know if I hit the curb or brakes or dry patch or what, but anyway, I hit the brakes, I think, for some reason, and bounced his face off the bumper and gave him a big black eye. And I was pissed because he had a big black eye and I didn't have one. I haven't had a black eye in a long time.
You know, there are a couple times that I just want to mention to you and see if you remember. But the time that you almost let me bleed out from hitting my head on your door in Oklahoma State after wrestling with Big Irv, if you remember Big Irv. And Brian, you know, I think about that a lot because basically that is now where I have to part my hair. So
The best one I can remember is when we were kids. We went to the candy factory where your dad worked. And he put us in boxes and we rolled around on the conveyor belts. And it was just like the best day ever. Your dad sang a song about stubbed toes and blood, and I don't know what all it had in it, but it made us all laugh.
One of my biggest memories of that I remember, I think Paul was involved too, and I don't know if it was you or Paul, but Brent decided to do a wheelie down Perkins, and he has a tendency to do long wheelies, and one of you guys were on the back, and he rode the wheelie so long and so high that one of you dropped off the back and landed on your booty in the middle of Perkins. And he didn't come back and get you until, of course, he was finished with his wheelie.
But, you know, there's other times that you've had my back when you came home from a party in Norman and rushed me to Norman Regional Hospital where my appendix was about to burst. And you were trying to help me out. Unfortunately, though, you got kicked out of Norman Regional basically because you told the receptionist to get off your fat ass and get in there and help me.
Another funny thing was when his buddy Robert came into town, and Robert and Brian and Karen and I all went out, and there were some guys there that started, I don't know, they started trying to start a fight and everything. One of them did anyway. He was pretty mouthy. And anyway, he thought Brian looked like Merle Haggard, so he started calling him Merle Haggard, which I thought was awesome because I started looking at him and he did look like Merle Haggard. So once in a while, that's what I call him, is Merle.
We've always been together throughout those times, and you've always had my back throughout those times.
It was really, we've kind of been brothers from other mothers.
On a road trip.
Motorcycle trips with Brian, we've taken 2 or 3, I think. I know we went to Kansas once. I met him up in Tennessee once. Those are always a blast. We always had a really good time. I like it because Brian knows exactly where to go. He's got a sense of direction. I got 0 sense of direction, so I just follow him, and wherever we end up is perfectly cool with me. Been camping with his family and our family. Worked on his car a little bit.
And I'm a big car guy. Brian, he's kind of a funny guy because he's really meticulous. You know, he paints everything. And I'll throw parts on a car all day long and not paint them. But Brian always paints everything. And it's funny because, one day I went over to help him with his, he had a transmission leak, and actually the new GTO. And we had to pull the pan off and change the gasket and filter and all that. And in the end, it's like, okay, we're ready to put the pan back on the car so we can drive it and all that. But no, Brian insists on painting the transmission fluid pan before we put the car back together and get it on the road. And
the thing that I admire a whole lot about you is, as much as, you appreciate life, you also recognize that, material things are not there to stay. Here's to celebrating just the happy-go-lucky type of life that you live.
This dude doesn't take everything so seriously that we can't, have a little bit of camaraderie.
He's fun and silly, but yet he has some good teachings and morals that he teaches his kids, but he's a great dad.
Among Brian's best qualities, he is persistent, hardworking, and dedicated.
I think Brian, it's always about his honesty.
And above all, you're truthful. You have not sugarcoated things for me. If I've done something that could have been done better, I appreciate the fact that you tell me, point things out to me that will help me better myself the next day. I appreciate that so much.
Also, the fact that he really, truly, genuinely cares about the people who work for him and with him. He's always looking for ways to make them better, looking for ways to make himself better when dealing with people or talking to people. It's something that's rare in a boss. It's something that's rare where they genuinely care and not just doing it for the advancement of their own career.
He's just great to work for, having that strong sense of doing what's right and listening to people.
On a serious note, very awesome to have a believer as a boss, a man of God, of integrity, who takes the time to mentor me, help me process things that I wouldn't normally process, and be introspective. I've never met somebody so introspective in all aspects of life.
When I've had problems and times, you've always been there. You've bailed me out, literally, several times. But, as we go through life, there's very few true friends that you have. Brian, you are a true friend.
How have you impacted my life?
Brian's impacted my life in so many ways, not only professionally, but also personally.
I think the biggest impact that you have had on my life was actually after the wreck, because my recovery was long. Brian, you were huge and instrumental in that recovery, and it was because you sent me care packages, and no, they were not the normal care packages. They were full of bandages and toothpaste and Ace bandages and Adaptic and things from Johnson & Johnson. But even more than that, you sent handwritten letters in each one. Now, it might have been on a napkin or a receipt from the grocery store, or even sometimes it was a huge stack of sticky notes that you just wrote and wrote. But I'll tell you, they meant so much, and they kept me strong in my recovery. And it's so exemplary of your huge heart and your selfless behavior, and that grace I see you've passed on to your daughters.
Just how beautiful of people you all are. You're fun-loving, you're caring, you appreciate life and the things around you.
I know you find the joy and the humor in all the little things, and you're just the best father. I love you. I miss you. I hope you have a great party. Come see us soon.
And I think Karen's turning the big 5-0, so she should be very excited. Get her AARP card finally.
My sweet friend, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Karen. Just wanted to wish you the happiest birthday ever.
I first met the delightful Karen Daniel through Bible Study Fellowship.
Karen, times I remember you back in Norman.
Sue Tennyson was telling me about these little girls named Lyndon, Avery, and Raven, and I thought, oh, those are different names. What are these people like?
Karen, actually, the first time I met her, she was my Bible study leader, my small group leader.
I first met Karen when we had girls in cheerleading back in the day when Lyndon was just a little thing and my girls were about 10 years older. And I think we walked out that first cheerleading day and went, what just happened in there?
I met Karen in 2009. We had our leaders workshop for BSF together.
At BSF, we were GLs together.
I've really gotten to know you as we've served together in BSF on the leadership team.
I met Karen from working with her at Signal 88 Security. She got me the job in May.
I found out very shortly that you guys were amazing and the most beautiful people with the most beautiful children ever.
Karen and I are the yin and the yang. She is fly by the seat of her pants, no schedule.
She sometimes laughs hysterically, where others who don't know her might think that she's been drinking.
And she was always this bubbly, outgoing, crazy person that she still is today.
Her soul is so youthful and vibrant, and mine's like an old man.
Who is Karen's spirit animal? And I'd have to say it's Tigger. Tigger for sure.
And I'm thinking if a song played every time Karen walked into the room, it would be Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus.
Okay, I have 2 songs for Karen depending on her day. She's either walking on sunshine or running on empty.
I think a film title to Karen's life might be It's a Wonderful Life or Stand By Me.
Karen, I would say Karen movie-wise reminds me of probably The Sound of Music for some reason. I know she likes to sing even though I've never really heard her.
The movie title that I would give Karen's life would be Dude, Where's My Car? But I was like, she's always like losing crap.
If I was to film a movie and Karen was the subject of it and the title of it would be Missing. I mean, she's always missing something, so.
If there was a movie about Karen, who would play her in that movie? And I picked 2 people. I picked Jennifer Lawrence because of the warriorness of her. Is that a word, warriorness? I don't think so, but just that warrior thing. That's Karen. And then I picked Cameron Diaz because of her spunkiness, her out there attitude.
Spunky is the word that I really would use to describe Karen.
Road trip. So one thing you need to know, if you would take a road trip with Karen.
We've traveled multiple places with each other, Mobile, Alabama, San Antonio, Texas.
Probably she's an extroverted introvert, I would say. And so when you meet her, you think she's extroverted, but yet she also is introverted and needs that time away.
One thing that I know when traveling with Karen, and I have to warn everyone, is that you have to keep track of her phone, her wallet, her purse, her coffee, her glasses, because if you don't, it's gonna get lost.
I actually went to New York City with Karen, and you'd probably need to know that she's gonna wear heels like all the time, like the whole time, no matter how much walking you're doing. Like if you do it on your phone and keep track, you could walk like 13 miles, and she would do them in like heels like this.
And I learned about eating a fruit with a protein. So we had peanut butter and an apple every single morning.
Then she'd have massive calf cramps like that night, like where she can't even walk because she wore heels, and then she wear heels the next day too.
You know, she doesn't really get too mad when she loses things just because she knows it's probably bound to happen.
And it was actually really, really fun. That trip is like one of my greatest memories of traveling with someone else.
Probably the most special thought I have about Karen.
I think of sitting in her office after work, going over some song lyrics and just vibing to some music.
The best memories I have is you riding on the back of Brian's motorcycle throughout the summer and stuff. But that was always a good time. But there's one thing I can tell you, Karen. From early on, you could tell that you completed Brian.
Mike's mom passed away when she was 68, and we asked Karen if she would sing for the funeral. And Mike walked into the prayer room to get himself ready because he was going to speak at his mom's funeral, and Karen was on her knees before the Lord praying and giving this to him.
My favorite thing about Karen really is her zeal for the Lord. It is consuming and it is catching.
Maybe one of the first friends I've had in life where I've enjoyed the like fun friend side of our relationship, where it's shopping, talking about dumb stuff, but then I can talk deep spiritually with Karen also. We can dive deep into God's word together, talk about theology, talk about takes on different things, Bible study, people leading others, and she's deep. Like she goes deep with me, and that is probably my favorite thing about Karen.
She's just like a ray of light. She just is sunshine when she just walks into a room.
You're so passionate about everything you do. You put your whole heart and soul into it, and I love that about you.
She's such a creative person, and I love to get her feedback on things.
What I admire about Karen,
she challenges me.
You have shown me what a Proverbs 31 woman really looks like. I'll give you an example. From verse 17 and 18, it says, "She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night."
And I can't tell you how much I've grown because of her, and how much my desire to share with others what I know because of her has grown.
Her genuine love for Jesus and love for people, that it just oozes from her.
You are a girl on the go, accomplishing so much for family and for the kingdom of God.
one word to describe Karen would be dynamic. Like that is the word for Karen. When you, so I looked up dynamic, and it means characterized by constant change, activity, or progress. And that is Karen Daniel to a T. She is multifaceted. She says yes a lot. She's all about change. She's all about improving teaching systems, making something that isn't quite there better. And even if it is there, making it even better. Her mind works like that. She's creative, she's visionary, but I would say dynamic.
Karen, as you look around this room tonight, you are a treasure and a blessing to so many people. Your compassion and enthusiasm for life is an inspiration to us all.
The first thing that comes to mind about Karen and Brian to me, on a serious note, is how much they love their family, how much they love those girls. It's obvious through the way he talked about his family when we were in the Bahamas, and the way I see your videos and pictures on Facebook, that the love in that family is real and genuine. And just the fact that Brian and Karen has daughters that are doing this video for them and planning a party for them speaks volumes to their impact and influence on their life and how much they're loved. And I just think that's fantastic.
It's so cool to see all of them being extremely intelligent, being extremely independent, and still be religiously driven. I think that's a value very difficult to find. So I appreciate that, I respect that, and I would not miss any chance to come back, see you guys, and hug you and say, hey, you've made a lot of difference in my life. I continue to appreciate the friendship we have.
So Brian and Karen, happy birthday.
Congratulations, Karen, and congratulations, Brian. You guys have done amazing. You've got beautiful daughters, and you've made so much difference in my life personally.
I love you. I'm so blessed by you. You mean the absolute world to me. Your whole family does.
I hope that we're all friends for life.
And I want you and Karen to have a wonderful birthday.
You guys are awesome. Love you.
Love you guys. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to both of you.
Happy birthday, Brian and Karen. Wish you all the best.
I hope you celebrate well and are celebrated well.
I want to wish y'all just a happy birthday. Hey, love y'all. Wish we could be there. Have a great time. God bless.